And I said, come over, just come on over, you'll say.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from the Town Tech Educational Podcast Studio at Portland High School. And good morning. This is the special edition Isaias storm review. And with us on the line, we couldn't do a podcast yesterday because we had no power up here at the studio, but we have power back, and the high school has power. The shelter is open. So with us on the line, with us in the studio is our first selectwoman, who's been keeping very, very busy, and I think we had to have the phone surgically removed from her ear so she could come up here to do the podcast.
You're referring to me, Dave?
Every time I walk in the office, you got the phone in your ear.
I know.
As far as that goes. But also, ladies and gentlemen, on the line is our Public Works Director, Mr. Bob Shea, and / Fire Chief. Also on the line, we're going to do a little update from seeing that our primary election is going to be on Tuesday. We have Mr. Ryan Curley, our town clerk, who's going to give us a little update on the absentee process, the primary update, and some ballot info. So, and also a newbie, first-time caller for us this time around is from our Chatham Health District. Mr. Russ Melman has been on vacation, so Mr. Ryan McCammon is on the phone. He's the Chief Sanitarian at the Chatham Health District. So, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on short notice, and I appreciate that time. And Ryan is going to give us an update on seeing that everybody's been out of power for multiple days, on some food safety and some to go from there. So, Susan, I'll turn it over to you, and I know you've got, like I say, you've been on the phone for many, many hours here. So, I think probably give us an Eversource update if you want to start there, and we'll go from there.
Sure, Dave. Thank you very much. And thank you to our listeners for their patience, which is, I think, waning. It's a very, very difficult situation for many of our residents and many of Connecticut in general. It's a bad situation. And many of our residents are still without power. And I wanted to let everyone know that the town cannot help remove trees until Eversource deactivates the associated electrical wires that they have in those trees. So while we have about a dozen streets that still have trees that have fallen into the road, I know the entrance to Chatham Court is one. I know that there's one on Middle Haddam Road. I know that there's one that is preventing the resident from leaving his or her home, and that's in the Thomas Street, Susan Circle area, and countless others that I can't begin to list here because I'm not sure we have the time. And one of the concerns that I have as First Selectman is that we're not receiving a timetable that tells us when we can expect these streets to be unblocked. You know, our public works crew has been out around the clock trying to get all of the extraneous trees that they can, those that don't have wires in them, removed. And I want to give a lot of credit to Bob Shea and Mike Lestrina and all the workers that have really, really done a great job. And our grounds crew has also been out taking care of our public properties and making sure all of that is taken care of. But the corporate response from Eversource is just wholly inadequate. The situation right now and the way they're doing restoration, to my way of thinking, is unacceptable. It's hurting people, it's hurting our businesses, and I've expressed these hurts. I've expressed these needs, not only to corporate Eversource, but also to our governor's office, our State Representative Carpino, who's here on a daily basis trying to help. I spoke with the chairman of the Energy Committee, which happens to be the state senator, Norm Needleman, that represents us in Hartford, and Congressman Larson and Senator Murphy. All our customers need to do the same thing. I think as a loud voice, we need to say this way of restoration is just not working. In the past, we've been given a utility truck or two dedicated to the town that knows the town, that works with our workers, and can go around and make safe our roads. It's not something that's happening for this situation. The corporate response is just not working, and I urge all Eversource customers to speak loudly. The Public Utility Regulatory Authority, better known as PURA, has been ordered, and they've agreed to do an investigation on how this response is working. The governor is fully behind this. In fact, he's the one that asked for it. We need to find out what is going correctly, more importantly, what's going wrong, and how we can address it in a long-term, sustainable solution way. We can't stand by and let this happen again. So I'm pretty strong on this because I believe that people's life safety, well-being, the economy is all at risk. And we really need to take a good hard look at how and what we're going to be doing as time goes on. So thanks, Dave. I look forward to hearing some of the other more practical and immediate concerns from our other guests here today.
Thank you, Susan. I know we had a special at our selectmen's meeting last Wednesday. We had it concerning the brush pickup, and I just wanted, if you want to let our listeners know what the selectmen decided as far as that goes, and we can turn it over to Bob, and he can give an update. But as far as the procedures on brush,
sure. In terms of the brush immediate, right now, if our residents have it and they can get it to the transfer station, we are accepting it with no cost associated other than the fact that people are already paying their taxes, of course, but there's no additional cost at the transfer station. Our workers took, I want to say, over 200 loads the first day after the storm, and they're doing a tremendous job at making sure that's taken care of. In terms of longer term, as our residents are clearing their properties, they can leave dimensions no more than 4-inch diameter pieces of wood at the curbside, stacked neatly and safely so that there's always a clear line of vision. And we need to recognize that while our crews will pick it up, we also have very important tasks that are being taken care of. And number one is the summer road work that's going to be happening and has been planned for months by Bob Shea's crew. So that comes number one. We need to take care of our roads and other projects that Bob has assigned. And as time permits, and that date will be coming out, Bob will say by such and such a date, residents must have that brush at the curb. And by the date that he will announce, it will have been picked up and no more can be done, because then the next phase of projects will happen. So I want to thank the selectmen for making that decision and allowing us to spend the extra money that this will incur. I remain confident that because this is a national declaration of a disaster, the governor, as well as I understand, there's some federal input in recognizing this situation as a national disaster, that we will be able to get perhaps some reimbursement. We don't know that yet, but
Right.
We are looking for it, and we'll certainly work toward that.
all we can do is ask.
That's right.
That's for sure. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. All right, Bob. If why don't you give us an update as far as where you are, as far as road closures? And I know from a public safety standpoint, I know we opened up the shelter here at the high school, so you can give us the rundown on that, Mr. Bob Shea.
Thanks, Dave. Currently, I just got off the road and was briefed by my supervisors, and it's the first and most important part of this is these guys have been working day and night since the storm hit, and I can't say any better about the staff, right from our water department, who's been struggling with just generator power and trying to maintain our system, which is much, much better than it was on Wednesday morning per se, and we had to take alternative actions to cut through the woods to get up to our chlorinator plant so that we can maintain a generator there, which we have. Since then, Old Marlboro Turnpike, the damage has been moved out of the way, so we can now get up there and maintain our critical facility each and every day. We have to maintain these facilities about every 2 hours around the clock because they are all on generator power. So we want to make sure that those generators are running and that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing to those critical infrastructures, not only water but sewer as well. Our pump stations are on generator power. We need to make sure those pumps are running so that no one has any issues in their homes, and that our sewage is being handled and treated properly as well. Everything is running good there. I have to say I'm much better off the fence or off the bridge today related to that. But our crews, water, sewer, everyone, grounds, they're all working very hard. Transfer station, thank you to the public who is really understanding our concerns there. We don't have power to run our compactors, and that's an issue. So first and foremost, we will put a can out tomorrow. I think it's critical that people are able to throw garbage away, at least for a day. We're going to put a can out, and it's going to be located in the area that the demo usually is located. We'll have people there to instruct, and you'll be able to throw your garbage. We won't be compacting it. We'll be able to come in hopefully Monday and haul that away because we can't keep it. We're not supposed to keep open garbage there. We will cover it, but we want to move it. We want you to have the ability as residents to get rid of some of your spoiled food and get it out of your homes, and if it is, unfortunately, and just try to keep up with the trash. So we're going to do that. I decided to do that this morning, and we certainly can handle that, so we will. So I hope that's a help. People that are coming in with brush, we're up to 800 loads as of 11:15 today, which is incredible. We got very lucky, I would have to say lucky, that we were able to mitigate our gigantic brush pile that we had there for the year. We were able to remove it all 2 days before this storm hit, so now we have room. I can't imagine if we didn't have that done, where would we even put the brush? But we're lucky there. So Matt and his staff and Roger down there are going to be doing a good job, and they're out helping with the brush, moving it as it's coming in. So thank you for the public for understanding. Sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes to unload your brush, but we're getting it done. We will continue to watch water and sewer very closely. The highway division is out, like I said, around the clock. We do have about 13 roads that are hampered or blocked by trees. You certainly can get around them. They're not blocked, but we have 2 that are critical. We did make some headway this morning on Thomas Street trying to punch a hole, like the terminology that we use, so that at least vehicles, smaller vehicles, can get through, and it looks like that we were able to do. If I have to get in there on a public safety side, trust me, I'll get in there. Won't tell anybody how I'm going to do that, but we'll get in there. And Chatham Court, which is another big concern, and both of those are on the critical list. They're hoping to address those. Both of those areas also have live wires, so those are a little difficult. Chatham Court, you're able to get in and out with a personal vehicle. It will be a little difficult on the public safety side, but we'll also make that happen. We did move some other debris this morning early to make sure that we have a little better access to get there. Our fire hydrant is not compromised any longer, so we can get to that. So that's a little better news as of early this morning. All the other roads, like Susan mentioned, we're just waiting for them to be declared safe, the lines that are wrapped in the trees, and then it will be very quick work for our guys to remove those from the road. That has nothing to do with the power restoration, but it will help travel, and it will get us to places a little quicker related to public safety. So it's a patience thing. Canada, they're out on 17. That's a really good sign. They're helping Eversource. There's a big crew down there now working on some infrastructure. I talked to them for a while. They're doing their best here to help. And Job's Pond Road last night had extensive work done, and I know some power has been restored there. That is the link to downtown, certain areas of 17. Transmission comes in from the large transmission lines up there, and it's broken down, and it works its way down towards 17. So hopefully, as they rebuild Middle Haddam Road as well and Job's Pond Road, we're going to start to see a lot of our numbers go away, and people will be restored. So we're really looking forward to that because we have the highway garage, our water well, and our MDC valve is all on that circuit, which are all under generation except the well, which we don't have one. So I think that's as much as I can say. We're doing our best. People need to be very safe. Don't go near the lines. You love to out. So many people walking, kids on bikes. Not a good situation, especially where the trees are down. If there's no trees and wires down in your area, then that's fine. But I wouldn't suggest anybody goes out, especially in the dark. You can't see what's what wasn't there yesterday doesn't mean it's not going to be there tomorrow. Stuff is still coming down, and you need to be very cautious. Anybody that's using generators, that is familiar with them, they know the hazards of those. You have to be reminded of CO. That generator should be nowhere near your garage. It should not be inside your home. Even if your garage door is open, it does not matter. You will build CO in your home very quickly, which will inevitably could take your life. So we certainly don't want that. We've already stopped at many homes and asked people to move their generators out of their garages, out into their driveways. Some are trying to be courteous, I think, thinking that they're too noisy for the neighborhood, but that's the least of their worries. Get them out of your homes, get them in your driveways, and make sure they're at least 6 to 8 feet away from any combustibles. And yes, your car can catch on fire. So I've seen many generators within 5 or 6 inches of a car or a truck in a driveway. So please just make room. Let the generator be free to breathe and to exhaust its fumes, and use the proper electrical hookups for that too, because that could cause an issue as well. I think that is one of our biggest concerns with the generators, and I think if people just really think before they use them, a little bit about safety, I think all in all, everybody will be safe.
Great, Bob. Yeah. Now, I think you also made, for those people that are on well water, you made potable water available at Company 2?
We did. Yeah, we've done that in the past. There's a sign down there. Company Firehouse number 2 has a fairly large parking lot in the back. It's an easy access point for people who might have, a little bigger container than, just gallon jugs or 5-gallon jugs. Some do have a 3 to 4 gallon containers that they can do, and they can just get easy access. There's a white hose out there which is water certified, and a nozzle, and the water's been turned on. There's a sign there, and feel free to use that to fill water to help you with your waste services and whatever you may need. I ask everybody to place it back in its proper area, and make sure that that the nozzle on the hose is shut off properly, so that we're not losing water out in the parking lot. Certainly that's not being used.
Sure, that'd be great, Bob. Also, Bob, from a standpoint of, again, on 911, is there any advice on information that people can call if they do, require assistance?
Yeah, I mean, our emergency services, our 911s are all working. There are, unfortunately, we're starting to see that cell tower batteries are failing that don't have generators. People are losing service, which is a concern, because as the years go by, people are dropping their landlines, and they're relying on their cell phones for their primary service. So it's okay if they go to a charging station. It's okay if they have power, but they certainly need service. And we're seeing a big interruption in service, so people should be aware of that as well, and find alternative ways to call for help if they are one of those who has a service that's not doing too well. But I know those services that offer cell service are out trying to mitigate those problems as well.
Great. And the high school shelter is open, so people can come get their cell phones charged, as well as their laptops if they need to, as far as that goes, and that's available, right?
Yeah, the CERT team, Don Gouin, Emergency Management, they've been working closely, been giving him updated information on blocked roads as well, and some of the areas in town that I know that he'll probably see people coming from. And it's been good. The whole team there is jumped on board. Some staff from the town that Susan has deployed out there during the day to help. And it's just a place to go and charge your laptops or cell phones so you can kind of communicate outside of the home and try to stay in touch with everybody, especially in relation to public safety if it's needed.
Right. Has Eversource communicated with you, as far as I know, company number 1, that in Middlesex Avenue and Russell Avenue, and that's been out of power? Have they given you any updates on estimated time of restorals?
No, there's no updates at all, although I've been working very closely on the liaison side with our town liaisons, and to be perfectly honest with you, they've been a big help, but they're also pretty strapped on. No one's giving them information to give us, although we are getting all the information into the system. I do see tickets now for critical infrastructure, which is really good. As of late last night, there were not even any tickets. They were still trying to figure out how they were going to do that, or they were still assessing is what it is. But yes, I've had great, I think Susan can agree, but there's only so much they can do for us. They're certainly taking our information and pushing it through, but it's the response back that they're not getting to give to us.
Right.
And they are in restoration mode. They just can't tell us when, where, and how long.
Right.
And Company 1 is up and running. That's about where the power grid stops downtown.
Oh, okay.
But Company 2 is on generator, Company 3 is on generator, and we're maintaining those generators as needed, but there's no issues getting in and out of those firehouses.
Great, Bob. Hey, well, thanks for all your work. I know you've been many sleepless nights and keeping everybody running here, and we appreciate your efforts.
Many
Thanks.
have. Thank you for that, and we're doing our best, and we hope that everybody stays safe and everybody gets power back soon, because it's amazing how mentally what that does for you.
It gets old real quick.
Yeah,
So anyway, again, Bob, thanks so much. Stay safe. And before we get to Mr. Curley over here on the election stuff, we have first-time caller on the line now, Mr. Ryan McCammon, who is the chief sanitarian from the Chatham Health District. And since most of the town, not only Portland, East Hampton, but towns throughout the Chatham Health District have been without a power. So we thought we could call on Ryan to give us some safety tips as far as on food safety and what to do, what not to do, and well water and that stuff. So Ryan, thanks so much for coming on short notice.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me on. Just to give everybody a heads up as to what Chatham's been doing over the last couple days, we've had our sanitarians out in the field doing site visits to assess who has power, who doesn't have power from the perspective of restaurants, daycares, cosmetologies, and those facilities that are open. We talk to them in regards to when they lost power. If they're closed, we leave them some information as to what to do when the power comes back on and ask them to give us a call so we can check in with them. We went through Portland on Wednesday, and we've been kind of working our way throughout the rest of the district. From a home perspective, basically if folks do lose power, the refrigeration that most people have in their household, the fridges will last about 4 hours without power. And then what will happen is they'll start warming up to the point where the food enters the danger zone. So that's where food is 41 degrees to 135 degrees, where bacteria that causes illness for us typically grows very fast. So after about 4 hours, you're not going to have enough cold in there anymore. With freezers, if they're half full, it'll last about 24 hours, and if they're completely full, so if you have like a chest freezer that's stocked full, those will last about 48 hours before you need to start getting worried about those. So the big thing is really to keep those fridges and freezers closed as long as you can. If you do happen to get the power back in a day or two, if you open up your freezer at that point and your items are still frozen, they're good to go. If the food in the freezer is at 41 degrees or less, that's the temperature of the food, then you can either refreeze it, you can cook it, or you can use it then. But once it gets above 41 degrees and we don't know how long it's been out of that's where you really want to throw that stuff out. The reason being is it's really hard to tell how long it's been in that danger zone where it can potentially make people sick. And a lot of times it won't have a color difference, texture difference, it won't have a smell to it, but a lot of the bacteria that causes foodborne illness is something we can't detect with our senses. So we just want to make sure that if once you get into that danger zone of 41 to 135, then you're looking at throwing the food out. In addition, for those folks that have wells or septic systems, as was just mentioned, there is potable water that's being provided to the residents, which is fantastic. If your well has been off for a few days and it does come back on, we do recommend you get it tested by a certified laboratory. And for those folks that are on a septic system or on public sewer that have either a pump station or they have a pump chamber for their septic system, please be aware of the fact that even though you might have public water, if you don't have the ability to dispose of the wastewater, if you have a pump chamber for a septic system, that will fill up. And also your alarm for your pump chamber will probably not go off unless it's connected to the generator. So you just want to be aware of that as well. And that's about it in regards to that. We do still have sanitarians out in the field visiting our 6 towns, including Portland, assessing restaurants and talking with them as to how they can safely reopen. And we just want people to be safe as the power does start to come back on when it comes to their food, comes to their water, and also the wastewater as well.
Awesome. That's great information, Ryan. And again, thanks so much for coming on on short notice. Like I say, this is our special Isaias podcast episode as far as that goes. So again, thank you for all you do. And, and Russ is usually on every week, and he's on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. So again, hopefully we'll get him back on next week and go from there. But I appreciate you stepping in.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to folks and give them an update as to where we're at.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, batting cleanup. Okay. Our town clerk, Mr. Ryan Curley, is on the phone, and I think because of what's been going on as far as in relation to our upcoming primary election and the absentee ballots is becoming quite the talk. So, Ryan, can you give us an update of what's happening in your office?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Dave. Thanks for having me. So, we have our presidential preference primaries coming up on August 11th, which is this Tuesday. And so we've had quite a few residents vote by absentee ballot. They sent in request forms to the town clerk's office, and they should have received their ballots in the mail by now. So I would strongly encourage anyone who's requested a ballot and who has not yet received their absentee ballot to please give my office a call immediately. And I will be in this weekend, throughout the weekend. So please, if no one picks up, leave a voicemail and I will get back to you. That's important, and we want to make sure that everyone's vote gets in and gets counted. Unfortunately, the storm hit Hartford's mail distribution center as well. And that is the reason why I am still waiting on quite a few ballots to get returned. So if you'd like to know the status of your ballot, you can call this office and I can tell you if it's been received or not. But at this point, if you have received your ballot and you have not mailed it in, I strongly encourage you to not mail in your ballot and to instead use the official ballot drop box that has been installed at Town Hall. This is a very secure drop box, and at this point, I don't want to risk your ballot not getting into me by August 11th. So all absentee ballots, in order for your vote to count, must be in by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 11th. So after that, there's nothing I can do. If it comes in the mail on Wednesday, unfortunately, those ballots won't be able to be counted. For those that would like to vote in person, you are more than welcome to go to 93 High Street is our polling location. This year we have moved the room in which the voting is held from the band room to the middle school cafeteria. And we've done that for better lighting and also to practice better social distancing at the polls. So there will be curbside voting on Tuesday. And like I said, polls are open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. And if you have not voted by absentee, so you can either do one or the other. If you have received an absentee ballot and you then decide that you'd rather vote in person, you can just, you don't have to vote with that absentee ballot. You can still go to the polls and vote at the polls if you choose to do so. So that's pretty much it, I think, as far as what's going on. We're busy, we're getting ready, and so there's a lot going on, and losing power only complicates things.
I appreciate it, Ryan. And also, as far as the at the polls, obviously, social distancing will be practiced, and I assume face coverings are mandatory.
Face coverings are, I honestly, Dave, that's a legal question, as Russ spoke about last time. I mean, I don't know if we can make that mandatory because it goes against, like Russ had spoken about. So I don't really want to get into that, Dave. I just will say that masks are strongly encouraged and just easier for everyone to wear masks.
All righty. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. And Susan, we'll turn it back over to you. I mean, do you have any comments? I think I know on the mask issue, that's going to be tough.
Well, I believe in masks, and I think the reason Connecticut is doing so well, and let's give ourselves credit where credit is due. We have very low transmission rate of COVID-19, and it's because there's a mask order. And what it means is simply wear a face covering. It's not that difficult. When you're inside the building, if you're going to the polling place, it's the common courtesy for those people that are around you. And it's also for the protection of you and your loved ones. Wear a mask. And as Dave says, make sure you wash your hands as well. And just take care of yourself. That's the bottom line.
Sure. I think all of the poll workers are going to be required to wear masks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I did issue, and now it's not a town building, it is a school building. But as far as town buildings go, I did issue a memorandum several weeks ago that said masks are required when you're inside our buildings. And again, it's for our own benefit, and it's a simple task to put your face covering on. If you don't have one, we'll provide one to you. Call my office, we'll get one to you. And I know as you go into the polling place, they'll be available as well.
Sure.
We all want to help each other.
Absolutely. And again, Susan, I want to thank you for all of the critical updates that you've been giving to our town residents, not only on Facebook but and so forth. I know the town residents have been very, very appreciative on any updates and all of those bits of information, although trivial as they may seem, are very well received with our citizens out there. So thank you for that, and thank you for all of those long hours in the office. And
it's part of our commitment, and it's part of the commitment that all of the town workers have. You included, Dave, and certainly the communication is key, as you point out. I hope everybody listens to this podcast. It's going to give them the most up-to-date information. And we'll continue to do these. I think the stronger we are in terms of knowing what the news really is and what's going on, the better the results and the better life that we're going to have. So thanks, Dave. You're doing a great job for us.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a team effort. It really is.
Yes.
And again, the Town of Portland website has on the home page all of the storm information on critical updates on services that are available, not only on generator safety and food safety, as far as that goes. So you can go right to the portlandct.org, and all that information is on the home page, as well as our podcast connections wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's on Anchor, YouTube, or whatever. We also will be post-processing this podcast, so it will be on Comcast whenever they come back and get power, as far as that goes. So to go from there. So I think that about wraps up our special Isaias episode number 18, and I'm your host, Dave Kosminski, and please stay safe, stay away from the wires, wash your hands, and stay home. Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Dave Kosminski. Please tune in every week for new and relevant conversations about the town of Portland. You can find us at portlandct.org or at YouTube/Town of Portland, and now wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you've enjoyed our podcast, please consider subscribing and sharing with friends. This podcast was produced by the Town Tech Educational Partnership Program, which is a partnership between Portland High School and the Portland Town Hall. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or organization, check out towntech.org/podcast to learn more.